What was left of their relationship was destroyed with their eviction.
When they got there, they knocked real hard. I got scared and I was like, who's knocking so hard? He said, we gotta go, Stephanie, we're getting evicted.
We got a 5-day notice. I hid it from her, so I didn't stress her out. I was pulling money out of her bank account and putting it in my pocket, not paying the rent.
This is why you have to be careful who you have children with.
Plaintiff Stephanie Guevara is suing the father of her children for the value of her lost belongings after he caused their eviction. Defendant Tommy Candia says when he suspected his ex of cheating, he stopped caring about paying the rent.
Remain seated and come to order. Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Faith Jenkins presiding. Your Honor, we have Guevara versus Candia.
Thank you, Barbara. Stephanie Guevara?
Yes.
You are suing the defendant, Tommy Candia?
Yes, correct.
For $3,925 you say he owes you for the value of your belongings and repossession fees?
Correct.
How do you know Mr. Candia?
I know Mr. Candia from the time I was 14. I met him then, and when I turned 15, a year later, we started dating. From there...
How did the two of you meet at 14 years old?
I met him through a friend. He would call her often while I was at her house. And that's how I got introduced to him.
So you were 14, you were a freshman in high school, I'm assuming. What about you?
Graduated.
Graduated from high school, so you were just into freshman?
Correct.
Okay, go ahead.
After a year of the phone calls, that's when we actually decided to get together and, meet and do all this stuff. And
how old were you at the time?
18.
You were 18, okay. So the two of you started dating.
We started dating, and about the time I turned 16, we moved to Missouri. And I got pregnant with my first daughter. I had her when I was 17.
So you moved from where?
California to Missouri.
What did your parents think about that?
I didn't have my parents around very much.
Mm-hmm. So at 16 years old, you moved to Missouri, and as I understand it, the two of you have been on and off ever since then. And you're how old now?
26.
How old are the children?
We have a 9-year-old, a 2-year-old, and a 5-month-old.
A 4-month-old? 5-month-old. Mm-hmm. Have the two of you ever been married?
No.
Okay.
We were in Missouri for a little while. I was working, he was working, we were doing, a good job. We had a house, not a house, but an apartment, a car. Things were going good for us. Sometime in December 2005, it was the first time Thomas and I had a verbal altercation. We were just, I had found out he had lied to me about going to work. He wasn't at work, and the only reason why I ended up finding out was because he had said he was gonna come home for lunch, and he didn't show up. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, maybe something happened to him. It's snowing out there. Maybe he slid and ran into something, I don't know. So after several attempts of calling him on his cell phone, I called his job. I wanted to make sure he was okay, and they told me he never showed up. It was gonna be bad for him because he called in, and now I'm calling to see where he's at.
So where was he?
Where were you, tell me?
Sitting outside of the apartment in my car.
When was this?
In 2006, December 2006.
So what was going on? Why were you sitting outside in the car?
Just finding stuff out while I'm working overnight. It's an overnight job, so I'm finding out she's talking to other guys while I'm working overnight.
What's going on with the two of you now? Are the two of you still together?
Not right now.
Okay, when did the relationship end?
A little bit after we had the baby.
After what happened in September, that's when I'm just, it's done.
And that's what this case is about, what happened in September and with the eviction.
Right.
What's been going on over the last several years with your relationship?
Just me being away from my kids, leaving them, not there for them.
Why is that?
Just I felt betrayed, being at work, working so hard and finding out she's with guys, coming home with hickeys on her neck. I'm not gonna work hard to support her and be there for my kids. I'm not gonna do it. I'll get myself in trouble.
You're saying that there have been issues of infidelity on her part over the last several years, and you have left but then changed your mind to come back?
Due to the fact my daughter calling me, my oldest daughter, asking where I'm at.
She was a baby, so she wasn't calling you.
She would call you and say what?
Wondering where I'm at.
What do you have to say about that?
I was working during the day, sleeping at night, I had a baby to take care of, so I don't understand where I would have left her. And that's why sometimes I feel like he would make these stories up in his mind just to not have that responsibility.
When the two of you were living together this past year, where were you living?
In Las Vegas.
Did you have an apartment or a house?
We had an apartment, a one-bedroom apartment. It was in his name.
How much was the rent?
$510 a month.
And who paid for the security deposit?
I did.
Who was paying the rent in the apartment?
Both
We
of
both
us.
were.
Both of you were working at the time?
Yes.
What were you doing for a living?
I was doing timeshare management administration for the company. I had actually gotten him a job there in October 2013. Beforehand, he wasn't even working. He would stay home and watch the girls.
How long was he out of work and staying home watching the kids?
Approximately a year.
Was that by choice or were you looking for work?
By choice, collecting
Okay.
unemployment,
Okay.
trying to be there for the kids.
You said that he has a pattern of leaving you and the kids when he gets upset, and it has nothing to do with infidelity. It's just a pattern of what he does.
I think he does it, again, so that the responsibility is lessened on his part.
How many times would you say he's done that since you were 15 years old, 16
3
years old?
times.
And when he leaves, who takes care of the kids?
I do.
And that responsibility falls
Completely on me. Financially, physically being there, it's all me.
it's your testimony that you've never been unfaithful in this relationship.
I've never been unfaithful to him.
Coming up, you can't have it both ways in Judge Faith's court.
You just told me you didn't you hid the notice from her because you didn't want to stress her out. 30 seconds later, you tell me you think it was okay because of how she was dealing with you and cheating on you. So which is it?
Plaintiff Stephanie Guevara says her ex-boyfriend caused their eviction and she's suing for the cost of her belongings. Defendant Tommy Candia says the plaintiff was cheating on him.
Now I want you to talk about why you filed this lawsuit over an eviction that took place earlier this year.
So I'm going to take you to the 23rd of September 2014 because that's when I was first aware of the eviction. When the constable, apartment manager, and maintenance came, they knocked while I was about to get into the shower for an interview because I had lost my job due to the repossession that happened on the 8th of September.
What repossession?
My car had gotten repossessed on the 8th of September. During the time of my disability, which was from May 11th to July 31st, 2014, I was on disability because I had my daughter had a C-section. And
So you weren't working during that time period?
right, and I was on Oxycontin because the pain was so bad. So a lot of the time, I was home with my kids, but also very limited.
How many months were you behind on rent when the eviction happened?
A month and a half.
I hear it was 2.
How long had you lived in this apartment?
I lived in that apartment for about 9 months, 10 months.
Was it a 1-year lease?
It was 11 months.
A 1-year lease.
You say the first time you found out that you were being evicted was the day that the sheriff showed up?
Yeah.
What happened when they got there?
When they got there, they knocked real hard. I got scared and I was like, who's knocking so hard? He runs to the door and he opens it and there's nobody there. I guess the constable had walked around our apartment. That's when Thomas had caught him, and asked him what was going on. And he came back and he said, we have to go. And I was a little confused. I said, Tommy, why are they saying we have to go? And now the apartment manager's behind him, maintenance is over there playing with the doorknob. What's going on? He said, we gotta go, Stephanie, we're getting evicted.
And how long did they give you to get your things and get out of the apartment?
15 minutes.
15 minutes.
Okay, and have you been back since to collect the rest of your belongings?
No.
Why not?
I just don't have the money to get out there.
So you get evicted and you vacate the premises within 15 minutes and you never go back to get your things?
Right.
And you're suing him over the value of your lost furnishings. Why do you think he's responsible for the value of your lost furnishings as you described them here?
because I was the only one working prior to October 2013. A lot of that furniture did come from me working on my own. And the fact that I can't get my stuff back is one, because I don't have the money to get it back, to go back out there like he said. I also am not on the lease, so I wouldn't be able to go and show ID to get my stuff out without him being there.
When did you find out that you were going to be evicted? And how did you find out?
We got a 5-day notice. I hid it from her, so I didn't stress her out. I was pulling money out of her bank account and putting it in my pocket and not paying the rent.
So you got a 5-day notice that you were going to be evicted. How did they give you the notice?
On the door.
It was posted on the door, so you took the notice off of the door?
Yes.
Okay.
And I hid it from her.
Because you didn't want to stress her out?
Or because of kids.
So
too.
you think the easier way to handle it was for the
not telling
sheriff to
somebody.
show up the day of and she have 15 minutes to get her things out of the apartment?
Yep.
15 minutes with you and your 3 kids, you think that was the easier solution?
To me, yes.
That's outrageous.
I feel okay with it because of how I feel she was doing me. You know, how I feel she was doing
Well,
something
why don't
behind
we
my
just
back.
put her to the side and we talk about your 3 kids? Your 5-month-old that was in the apartment, a 9-year-old, and your other child. You're okay with that?
I guess
With them
so.
having 15 minutes to get their things and get out of the apartment with nowhere to go, you're okay with that?
I guess I felt that she was betraying me. So I mean, I couldn't have taken my kids. She won't let me
just
take my
because
kids.
you have an inflated ego and you think another woman is doing you wrong, you're not thinking about your kids, you're just thinking about yourself.
I mean,
you say, because let me tell you, you just told me you hid the notice from her because you didn't want to stress her out. 30 seconds later, you tell me you think it was okay because of how she was dealing with you and cheating on you. So which is it?
I mean, I love
You
my
either
kids.
cared too much and made a stupid decision, or you didn't care, you don't care anything about your kids. Which is it?
I love my kids. I made a stupid decision, but I'm not allowed to take my kids. If I try to take my kids, she'll stop me, and I don't want that
No.
confrontation.
Don't answer the question you want to answer. I want you to answer my question.
Yeah, I shouldn't have done it.
Unbelievable. This is why you have to be careful who you have children with.
Right.
You understand?
I understand now.
It took a lot of
Because any man that would do that to their kids, their children, you have a baby, it's an issue. You have a problem.
Coming up on Judge Faith, the trust issues run deep.
We had gone out to a strip club that he and some coworkers have been to before, and it seemed to be that all the girls there knew him.
Plaintiff Stephanie Guevara is suing her ex-boyfriend for lost belongings after an eviction. Defendant Tommy Candia says she didn't deserve his trust and effort.
What happens, ma'am?
So yeah, we did take off in the car together. At one point, we ended up going to Circus to kill time because I didn't know what I was going to do with my girls. We took them there so that
was
way.
casino.
Yeah, so they can
Okay.
watch the circus performance because they have trapeze and all this stuff going on upstairs where they have the kids' arcade. So I took them there so they could watch it. My daughters were focusing on that while I'm, thinking to myself, what am I doing? What am I going to do? Because I know that I'm not going to come back with him.
What do you have to say about, you said that you were taking money and that you were supposed to be using that money to pay rent and you were doing something else with it. Explain yourself.
Gambling. And then when this
So that's
day,
why the rent wasn't being paid?
Yep. And then when this day happened, that's when I went to my mom's house, and and that's when she would call me crying, what do you do? And I'd start laughing at her over the phone, and then I'd hear my 9-year-old in the background, and that's when my emotions would turn. But when I would hear her, it wouldn't bother me at all, just because I felt she was betraying me behind my back.
I'm just, I'm frankly a little stunned right now
Why is that?
because I think you're an idiot. That's why.
He wasn't only gambling. For his birthday, we had gone out to a strip club that he and some coworkers have been to before. And it was my first time being there. I went along for his birthday to celebrate his birthday, and it seemed to be that all the girls there knew him. So
Let me ask you a question. Why is he in charge? Because you've known him for, how long have you known him? A long
12
time.
years.
You know his history. You have 3 kids. Why is he the person in charge of paying the rent? Why do you have no clue that the rent is not being paid? Why is he the person in charge of taking care of that responsibility?
Because the lease was in his name. As far as the car,
But he's not responsible. And surely the first time you caught wind of this was not when you were evicted earlier this year.
Yeah, he's never taken money like that from us. And that's why I still let him do the financial part of it.
Do you have a gambling problem?
I don't think so.
Because I'm just curious, because I would think that a man who chooses to gamble versus paying rent to keep a roof over the heads of his 3 children probably has a problem. Either you have a problem or you don't care. Either way, it's a problem. And all I keep hearing you say is, she was betraying me, she was doing this, she was doing that. Well, let me tell you something. You're a grown man. You have brought 3 children into this world. At some point, it's not even about her, it's about them and your responsibility as a grown man and being their father, your responsibility as a grown man being their provider, your responsibility as a grown man to help raise those children. And I am baffled by the fact that you are standing before me clueless. And you have a 5-month-old with him? Where do you live now?
North Hollywood?
You still working?
Yep.
Are you paying child support?
No.
Take him to court.
I definitely am.
And now, Judge Faith rules.
I feel sorry for a man who can do what you did to your family and then not even care afterwards. And that's what I see here today. I see a person who doesn't really care. I feel sorry for you. I realize when you entered into this relationship, you were just a child yourself at 15, 16 years old, but you gotta be a grown-up now. You have 3 kids you have to look out for. You have to be the grown-up and take care of those kids. You cannot rely on him to be there and do that. So here's what I'm going to do. You wrote in your complaint that one of the things that you lost was your cosmetology kit. And that's something that you can use to start getting yourself back on track and pursue a career in a profession that will allow you to take care of your 3 kids. And you wrote that the value of that cosmetology kit is $1,500.
Yeah, that's depreciated value, but
I'm going to order you to pay her the value of the cosmetology kit. You have a 5-month-old with this individual, with the defendant over here, so you've got some choices you need to make. You have some choices you're going to have to make. I hope that the 2 of you can do what's best for your children, because they are the most important people that you chose to bring into this world. Do you understand that? You made that choice to bring those children into this world. You need to man up and take some responsibility. Judgment for the plaintiff, $1,500.
These newlyweds say they ignored all the red flags when they agreed to share a house with their best friend.
She was going to San Francisco to do some dirt, to get the money to pay for the rent.
But she says it wasn't easy living with 2 bridezillas.
They came into my room. She says, well, what's going on? What are you doing? You're packing. I said, well, I'm going to San Diego. I basically was on this bench.
Now, Judge Faith will decide which roommate must pay for the broken promises.
You have a story and an excuse for every single question I ask you about. I can barely get a straight answer from you, and I just want to know the truth.
Plaintiff Kim Dotson says her former roommate bailed out on the lease without paying what she owed. She's suing for a rent deposit and home repair costs. She's accompanied by her wife, Delana Dotson. Defendant Shay Anderson says living with Kim was unbearable, and she doesn't owe anything because the poor living conditions forced her to move.
Remain seated and come to order. Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Faith Jenkins presiding. Your Honor, we have Dotson versus Anderson.
Thank you, Barbara. Kim Dotson,
Yes.
you are suing Shay Anderson for $1,654 for rent deposit and home repairs?
Yes.
And I understand you have a witness here with you today, Delana Dotson?
Yes.
Okay, how are you, ma'am?
Great.
We'll start with you, Miss Dotson. Tell me how you know Miss Anderson.
I know her through my wife, Delana.
Delana, tell me what happened. How do you know Miss Anderson?
We've been good friends for, I would say, close to 10 years, if not more than 10 years. Me and Kim had just got married at the mid-January, January 14th, we got married. And at that
Congratulations.
point, thank you.
Thank you.
My mother passed away in February. And, you know, as a friend, she reached out to me. She wanted to be there for me, which I thought was nice at that point. After she passed, we looked to move to a different place, a different area. We wanted a new start. So she got kicked out of with her aunt. She said that they were putting her stuff out on the curb and she was crying, going through it. She had nowhere else to go. She said, why don't we move in a big house together and I'll pay half? So we were reluctant, but we were like, okay, well, it'll save us.
Why were you looking for a place to live at that time?
I was staying with my aunt at that particular time, okay? When Delana and Kim and I all met up, at first moving wasn't even part of the conversation. She was going through a hard time, and I mean, we were friends. I wanted to be there for her, especially I haven't seen her in a while. It's been a while. I told them about the issues that I was having, and the issues wasn't nowhere near getting kicked out. I was having an issue with, I was having a simple issue with, I think I was just really paying too much and I was doing too much at the house when I could really be saving money.
Okay, so the bottom line is the three of you moved into a home together. There's a lease agreement, a signed lease agreement. May I see that? And you signed the lease, right?
Yes.
Okay, and the first issue is the security deposit.
Yes.
Now, so the three of you are going to share, are you going to split the rent 50-50 and you're going to pay half of the security deposit, right?
Right.
What happens with the security deposit?
I paid it. She didn't have any money. I paid all of it.
Okay,
Every
so
dollar.
isn't that red flag number one? If you're moving in with
I
somebody?
can give you red flag number one. Would you like that?
Yes, I would.
Red flag number one was the very first time I met her. We decided to go in my car because we met up at a clothing store. We dropped her car off, and my wife wanted something to eat. What caught my eye, which I should have had the red flag then, someone mysteriously left their wallet in their car.
So you were going to eat what?
Actually, it was tacos from a taco truck.
And when you say someone being the defendant?
Yes, the defendant, Shay, left her wallet, and I, of course, had to pay for her food. I didn't have to. I offered to because she said she left her wallet.
So she doesn't have money for tacos. You're saying this is probably not someone who has money for rent.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
So, that's red flag number one. Hold on. Okay. Red flag number two. So you decide after she doesn't have money for tacos that you're going to enter into a lease agreement with Miss Anderson. Were you working at the time?
Yes, I was working.
And
So she said,
she wasn't working?
yeah, she said she was. We just never saw no money.
I was working, okay? And then, just to go back to the tacos and stuff, when I left my wallet, I told Kim and them I was not gonna eat anything because I had left my wallet.
Oh my God.
Kim said, don't worry about it. I'm gonna go ahead and get you. We talking about $2 tacos, okay? That's what we're speaking of.
If you didn't have money for a security deposit, I just want to know why if you're working at that time.
At that particular time, we had first spoke about it when we was looking, because we didn't bring up the security deposit and everything until we actually started looking for a place to stay.
Your Honor, might I add, at the beginning, Ms. Anderson claimed that she was head of security. She has she makes all this money, and money isn't a problem. She called, I don't know whose bank account, but she let me hear it, and she said somebody tried fraud on her bank account. So she let me hear this bank account, and it had over $5,000, and she said she was talking to the banker, going through all of this, acting like she was trying to handle her bank account. So she said, oh, I have money. I work this and this and that. Once my money gets off hold, I'm going to pay the deposit. I'm going to pay extra on the rent. We had looked at different houses. We agreed on different fixtures and different things we all wanted to, accommodate to make the house nice. For
all three of us.
Yes. And honestly, Kim and I were looking for a 1 or a 2 bedroom apartment or a house. Miss Anderson's cousin called her on the phone and told her that her aunt was putting her out for not paying or whatever. All her stuff was on the curb.
Stuff out on the street.
She was crying, and at that point, while she was helping Kim and I look for places, She asked at that point, well, I'm going through all of this. How about we all just move in a big, she said a 3, 4, 5 bedroom. We like,
Swimming
dang.
pool in the whole nice house.
She wanted to do it big.
Okay,
Your
so
Honor.
I've heard 3 red flags at this point. I've heard.
That is
Hold on a second,
not
Ms.
true.
Anderson. So if someone calls you up and tells you that she's being kicked out for not paying rent,
They didn't call us. They called
They called her.
Wow.
We heard her.
Oh, you
speaking
heard
to
the
them on
conversation.
phone. Right.
She didn't
We
put it
didn't
on
hear both
speaker or
sides.
nothing.
We just heard her side.
And she just put her head down and started crying and said, you guys,
and that's not a red flag.
Coming up on Judge Faith. Did Kim and Delana ignore all the signs, or was Shay just a master of illusions?
Rent is due on the 1st, sweetheart. I'm worrying about my overhead, my bills. I'm not trying to be out on the streets. It's business first.
I was going through financial issues. I was already having problems not getting paid for my job.
You don't have to have a crystal ball to foresee that she was going to have a problem paying the rent.
Plaintiff Kim Dotson says Shay never paid them what she owed. Instead, she just gave them excuses. She's suing for rent deposit and home repair costs. Defendant Shay Anderson says Kim and Delana asked her to move, so she doesn't owe anything.
The tacos were a red flag, but her being kicked out for not paying
Granted,
rent.
my heart is this big. Granted, my heart is that big.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I fully understand where you're coming from. I fully understand. But
here's
she
what I'm
painted
saying.
a nice picture of everything and the things that we were hearing as far as the bank account and things like that. It put a little cushion under me.
Did you call your bank and allow Ms. Dawson to listen in and hear that you had or someone had $5,000 in a bank account?
Delana, yes. Delana even seen the paperwork. It wasn't even a call in.
But you didn't
I
have
was calling-
$5,000 in an account.
Actually, it wasn't even, I'm gonna go ahead and get this straight,
know whose
okay? It
account
wasn't
it
even
was.
5,000, okay? It was around 3,500 that was in my account at that particular time. This was before we moved in, okay? So at that particular time, yes, I was going through a whole lot of issues, okay? I was going through financial issues. I was already having problems not getting paid for my job. I was already having personal stuff that I had to do.
But we
okay?
didn't know
never
that.
told you
wasn't-
none of that.
We didn't
Okay,
know
hold on.
that.
My thing is with them, okay, because Delana is a friend, Kim became my friend, okay, after that. Once me and Kim started talking, we developed our own personal relationships. I was very, very honest up front. The agreement was she was gonna go ahead and she was gonna pay the deposit, pretty much the first and last. That's pretty much what it is, okay? I was gonna do half. After I went ahead and got my check, because once we moved in, I clearly started expressing on numerous occasions that I was already having issues getting paid.
From what you're telling me today, you had a lot of issues, financial issues, issues with your job prior to moving in with the plaintiffs. What they're saying is you were not upfront about those things. We all go through challenging times financially. They're just saying that there was an expectation. You signed a lease. This is a what, 1-year lease?
A 1-year
Yes, ma'am.
lease.
You signed a 1-year
12
lease.
months.
And there is an expectation, ma'am, that when you sign a lease to pay rent and you now have other people relying on the fact that you can do that. You see what I'm saying? It's an issue when you present to them that you have money that you don't have. I believe what she's saying about the phone call to the bank.
But no,
and the reason
that's-
why someone does that is because they want to lead people to believe that they're going to be able to make their payments when they do. You never paid the rest of the security deposit. After the 3 of you moved in together, tell me what happened.
She wrote a bad check at one time. The very first time she was late with the rent. The second time she wrote a bad check.
Did you write a bad check for rent?
It wasn't even a bad check.
Yes, it was.
It was
No,
an almost bad
not.
check.
It wasn't even an almost bad check. How you gonna have an almost
It was a
bad
bad
check?
check.
How you gonna have an almost bad
What
check?
happened? Did the check bounce?
Because of my fraud situation that I had with my account, they closed out that whole entire account. Okay, the checks I still had the same bank accounts. I mean, not the same bank accounts. I still had the same bank people. I was still banking with the same people though. They just opened up different accounts for me. Okay. So that's the only thing that they did. With me having a couple of, different checkbooks or whatever the case is, I did write one check that went to an older account.
That's a bad check.
Yeah.
But
That's
I
a
went
bad check.
ahead and then because I caught it before the owner of the house.
The
even caught
owner,
it.
the
I
owner called her
him.
to tell her it was a bad
I
check.
called him, okay? I told him, you know what? Before you go ahead and cash that check, because I hope you didn't do it, I think that's the wrong check. Like, I have the right checking numbers, the right checking account here for you. He says, well, you know, I already deposited, but he says, I can just go ahead and stop by the house and just go ahead and get your cash for you. I said, that's perfectly fine. I went ahead and paid him cash that very same day because he met us at the house.
Oh my God,
and then
that's
I
not
also
true.
paid just for the bounce check, which was that extra $35. And then the next month was a holiday.
I don't understand. You said that you caught it before it went through.
Right.
Then the check bounced and you paid for a bounce check that day.
Right. Well,
How do you pay for a bounce check? How do you pay for? No, let me finish because you're trying to keep your story straight. How do you pay for a bounce check fee if you caught it before it went through?
This is how I caught it. Okay.
I don't want a long drawn out story. I just want you to answer my question.
I'm not. I just seen the checking. I just seen my checkbook. Okay. When I was going ahead and adding up the money in my accounts because we had something else to take care of as far as groceries and everything else as far as the household is concerned. Okay. When I was doing that, I was looking for that particular check to already be cashed when I called into the bank. They told me they didn't even have that check number. So when I actually caught it, I called him. It wasn't like, you know, he called me, he had to chase me down for it. He got that very same money that very same day in cash before the check even bounced.
You're full of, let me tell you something, ma'am. You're full of too many excuses. Okay, you have a story and an excuse for every single question I ask you about. I can barely get a straight answer from you, and I just want to know the truth.
Coming up on Judge Faith, can these former friends find their BFF bliss, or is this divorce final?
And I specifically said, so you're just gonna come in here, creep in, pack your stuff and leave. We have rent tomorrow.
Everybody goes through hard times. If you don't have the money, that's one thing. Just say, I didn't have the money.
Plaintiff Kim Dotson says Shay walked out on them after only 3 months and never paid what she owed. She's suing for a rent deposit and home repair costs. Defendant Shay Anderson says she doesn't owe Kim and Delana anything because they knew she didn't have the money.
Everybody goes through hard times. If you don't have the money, that's one thing. Just say, I didn't have the money. Yeah, I probably bounced a check, but I was doing my best at the time because it is clear to me you just didn't have the money to pay the rent or to pay half of the security deposit. How long did you live there in the house?
3 months.
Okay, why did you move out?
Because basically I was asked to. I was coming in for a trip. I was coming in from a work trip. They came into my room. Well, actually, Delana came into my room first. That day, she had asked, she says, well, what's going on? What are you doing? You're packing. I said, well, I'm going to San Diego. I said, pretty much, I basically was honest then.
Before that even came up, I said, tomorrow is the 1st of the month, so you're packing to leave. Do you have your rent money?
This
Straight
was
up, I
June
asked her.
30th.
She said, no, I don't have any money. My job messed over our checks. She had been promising that she had been working all these events. Her check was going to be huge. We were going to be able to do this and that for the house.
on their check.
So this is one night before, and I specifically said, so you're just going to come in here, creep in, pack your stuff and leave. We have rent tomorrow. I said, you don't have $100 yet? I don't have nothing. She was looking pathetic.
She was going to San Francisco to do some dirt, to get the money to pay for the rent and the bills that she had behind. That's the story she told me.
What do you mean dirt?
Let me add.
Whatever illegal thing she had to
Wow.
do.
This is what happened.
That's why she came in the house with her keys and her
It's
remote
the
control
truth.
in her hand to give us, because she didn't want to get caught up with the keys and the remote control in case she had to go to jail for whatever it is. She went to San Francisco with her and whatever friends or whoever that she went with
And
to
that
get the
came
money.
out of her mouth. But
That came out of her mouth.
When I walked in the room, it's because I had been texting her, calling her. Rent is due on the 1st, sweetheart. I'm worrying about my overhead, my bills. You know, I'm not trying to be out on the streets. It's business first. So when she didn't say nothing, that was weird. I had been texting, calling her. No, nothing. So she crept in the house. Normally we go to sleep pretty early. We wake up early in the morning from jobs and we just wake up early. So she came in. Normally we're in our room, door closed, sleep, whatever. This particular time, our godson was with us for his summer vacation. So we were staying up, you know, watching movies, having a good time.
You think she was trying to leave
Yes,
and just
ma'am.
skip town altogether?
No.
At
Sure
that
she
moment?
was.
Let me add this. I asked her, I said, what are
You guys are definitely married. I'm telling you that right now.
You are. This is the main part. To cut off, it was long. To make a long story short, I asked her. I was like, Shay, I've been calling you. You know what's going on? And so I was like, what are you doing? Oh, I'm going to San Diego or whatever.
San Francisco.
Or whatever she said. It was one of those sands.
And she used the word to do dirt.
Yes.
To do dirt.
Yes.
We're gonna go try and go out there and do what we need to do so I can pay this rent.
And
so is that the time that she moved out that you said that was it?
That same night.
I'm going to ask you again. What is your defense for not paying your half of the security
Oh, now
deposit?
the defense is just not for me paying it now. It's because the last conversation we had, she said that she already got somebody to move in to help her with whatever that she was doing. And that was
This
the
other
last
person
conversation
doesn't
that we
have
had.
anything to do with you.
And I have her signatures next to the monies that she does owe me.
Oh, may I see that, please?
Sure.
Yes.
Oh, so you signed
This-
you signed a
yes.
promissory note?
She promised
Yes.
that she was going to get paid
Yes,
and pay
I
us
did.
back. She asked us to friend her.
I also have pictures of work that I was doing, which she owes money for also. The patio, I have pictures. It wasn't in the best of shape. And
What was the agreement?
the agreement that she was going half with it.
She wanted it not
To fix up things
yes.
in the
Fix up
house.
the house, yes.
She wanted.
Was that the
Your
agreement?
Honor, yes, I did make that agreement.
That's all I need to hear.
Thank
That's
you.
all I need to hear. You may have gotten over with them because they ignored the red flags. I'm not ignoring them. You're not getting over with me. You said in your answer you don't feel you owe for the security deposit because they basically made it very unpleasant for you to live there because they kept asking you to pay money that you owe. Okay, just because someone is asking you to pay money that you owe, I'm sorry if that's unpleasant, but if you owe money, you owe the money. And if you didn't have the money, man, what I'm telling you is if you were going through a hard time and you didn't have the money, you should not have tried to pull the wool over their eyes because I believe you did that.
And now, Judge Faith rules.
I don't know who you're trying to pretend to be, but you gotta stop and just be yourself. All they wanna do is pay their rent on time, and you are stopping them and preventing them from doing that, and it's not fair. I have the promissory note, which you signed. That total is $1,316.29. In addition, I have the money for the patio and the work that you did in the home, which is a total of $237. So I'm gonna tell you something. You ignored a bunch of red flags, and that's what got you here today. The tacos, red flag number one. When somebody does not have a security deposit to move into a place, that means they don't have any money. Okay, you don't have to have a crystal ball to foresee that she was going to have a problem paying the rent.
Right.
All right. Judgment in this case for the plaintiffs. You owe them $1,553. Pay the ladies.
A fight between these brothers over who spent whose money and on what.
He owed me. The reason I spent it was because Gerald would have took the money and went to the dope man and smoked it up.
Was there an issue with drugs going on with you at the time?
Before the accident, yes, it was.
What's your status now?
Right now, the last time I used was maybe about 2 weeks ago.
And later, someone will pay the price in this argument over nickels and dimes.
You have a tenant who's lived in your home, and you know that a tenant is only responsible for damages beyond normal wear and tear.
The reason those are left out on the porch is because during our so-called walkthrough, she locked me out of the house before I could put them back up in the bathroom.
And I didn't charge her to be put them back up.
But I
That is so
offered.
nice of you.
I didn't.
Plaintiff Gerald Clipper says he asked the defendant to hold some of his money until he was able to open a bank account. However, when time came to ask for his money back, he discovered that the defendant had spent the money on bills. The plaintiff is suing his brother for the return of his funds. Defendant Kenneth Clipper says that after he fell on hard times, he needed the money for food and bills to support his family. He also feels that he was owed the money because of all the years he had helped his brother financially without ever being reimbursed.
Remain seated and come to order. Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Faith Jenkins presiding. Your Honor, this case is Clipper versus Clipper.
Thank you, Barbara. Gerald Clipper,
Yes, ma'am.
you were suing your brother Kenneth Clipper for $3,223 you say he owes you?
Yes, ma'am, I am.
Okay, why don't we start from the beginning, sir? Tell me what's going on between the two of you.
What happened was I'm suing my brother for that amount because I had an accident at work.
Okay, you had an accident
Yes, ma'am, I did.
at work, and let's back up a little bit. Prior
ma'am.
to that, what was your relationship with your brother like?
We was real close. We've always been close, real tight. Look similar. I'm a little taller, but we just been so close all our lives, you know.
Do you have other siblings?
Yes, I do.
Okay, how many?
I have 3 other brothers and 1 sister.
Okay, and who's the oldest out of the two of you?
I am.
You are? Okay. How would you describe your relationship?
I would say, prior to that, we were close. We were a close-knit family. but that changed with this incident.
With this case?
Yes.
Okay. Because I understand from your case, you came into some money.
Yes, ma'am, I did.
And you gave some money to your siblings, and then you loaned some money as well.
Yes, ma'am, I did.
And you say you haven't been paid back that money from your brother.
Yeah.
And so take me to the beginning, to how you came into a sum of money and what happened.
Well, I had an accident at work. I was off work. I had first to second degree burns on my whole face.
What happened at work?
I was cooking some rice. Upon me putting my strainer in the sink from where I was cooking the rice, that I turned with a big pot. And so I as I turned to the left here, I had the pot in my hand. I tripped over a mat. As I tripped over the mat, so I went down to the floor with it. As I hit the ground, I messed my shoulder up here a little bit, and I had first and second degree burns on my face and my left arm.
Did you sue your job at that
Yes,
point?
I did, yes.
Okay. And according to your complaint, you received a settlement about a year later in July of 2012?
Yes, ma'am, I
And how
did.
much was that settlement?
The total amount was $30,000.
Were you healed from all of your injuries from the accident?
Mentally, no. Physically, it's kind of gotten a little bit better over the past year.
But you recovered, and you're here.
I'm here, thank you.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. And so what happens next? So you get this lump sum settlement,
Yes, ma'am.
and you start to disperse some funds. Tell me what happened.
Upon getting the settlement, I figured, well, I'll go down and see my daughter, see my grandkids, spend a little time with them, spend a little money. Ken had asked me before, when he knew the settlement was coming, he asked me, would I loan him $5,000? I said, I'll give you $1,000. And I said, I know you're in financial problems or whatever, so I'll loan you $1,000. He says, yeah, that's pretty good.
So you give him $1,000, you loan him an additional $1,000. Did he tell you that?
Yes, he did tell me that. Well, at that initial time that he got his settlement, I was laid off, and I was in a big bind. I was in a major, major bind. I have 2 children, a wife. I had rent to pay. Car note was backed up 3 months.
What were you doing for a living at the time?
I was a operations manager for a company. So at that time, all of this backed up. I went through all my 401k, went through all my savings, and me being the good brother that has helped him out throughout his life. Gerald has been kind of like just a screw up of the siblings. He hasn't maintained a job. I'm giving him $20, $40, $50, $100 here and there, paying for various things. So at my time of need, I felt like he owed me that. He owed me 10 times more than what I've done for him over the years. But it's a sibling thing, and I never looked at it as, hey, I'm keeping track of all of this that I'm doing for you as your brother.
Well, it kind of sounds like you are.
Well, I wasn't though. I don't have documents showing all of these, various plane tickets that I purchased, or all the $100 bills, that I slipped him.
And you feel like he owes you this money.
Well, he owes me probably.
But you didn't have a discussion with him about that, right?
We had already agreed upon him holding some money for me, approximately $7,000 to $10,000. So what happened was
wait. So you wanted him to hold some money for you?
Yes, ma'am.
And what do you mean by hold?
$7,500.
I'm sorry?
It was $7,500.
Okay, and why did you need him to do that?
Because I didn't know where I was going to be at. Because I was in the process of moving to Texas, which...
Why him? Why trust him with $7,500? And where was he supposed to keep it, under his mattress?
Coming up on Judge Faith.
Ken calls me and says, look, I spent your money. I almost fainted. I couldn't tell you. My knees got buckled. I said, oh, Lord.
And later, who is responsible for maintaining the lawn?
And the lease did state clearly that she was responsible for maintaining the yard.
Correct, and she did not honor that.
But then there's a point where you take over the responsibilities
because
for
she
the yard.
neglected the lawn. She wasn't going to do it.
Gerald Clipper is suing his brother for the return of money that he was supposed to be holding for the plaintiff, but ended up spending on bills instead. Defendant Kenneth Clipper says that the money was owed to him because of all the years he helped his brother financially without ever being paid back.
The agreement was he would at some point come back and get his money, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay, that was the agreement.
Yes.
So what happens?
I called him and I says, look, Ken, I need that money, because I think I'm going to leave next week and go back down to Texas. Ken calls me and says, look, I spent your money. And I says, what? He says, I spent your money.
All of it?
I had to pay bills. I had to pay my car registration. I almost fainted. I couldn't tell you. My knees got buckled. I said, oh, Lord. And
yeah, but
it was...
You spent all the money?
No, I didn't spend all of it. I spent approximately $4,000.
Did you give him any of the money back?
Yes, I gave him $2,500 back.
Okay.
But the reason I spent it was because Gerald would have took the money and went to the dope man and smoked it up. I knew that. So for me to watch it go to them instead of me paying my rent and having a roof over my kids' heads while I'm unemployed and I'm pounding the pavement looking for employment, and him doing that was an easy choice for me. He owed me. He owed me that from the prior, years of me taking care of him.
No, it wasn't going to the dope.
Was there an issue with drugs going on with you at the time?
Before the accident, yes, it was. And I think that he
And what's your status now?
Right now, the last time I used was maybe about 2 weeks ago. Very little bit. The last time I had a drink was.
So you're trying. You're
So
trying
I'm
to get yourself on the right track. Do you have any money left from the settlement?
No. But at least have an account for it. And I wrote down everything that I spent. And it wasn't for them to understand. It wasn't for my girlfriend to understand. It was for me to understand. It was my money.
Well, I mean, what you just said right then is really the key to this case, and that's what I want you to understand. I have to decide if you owe him this money or if you have a proper legal defense as to why you haven't paid him back. And from what I've heard from you today, everything you've done for him over the years, you think he owes you, but that wasn't the agreement.
Yes, I understand.
So what you're saying is not a legal defense, sir, to you not returning the money to him. And I think that with everything you've told me today, the real reason why you kept the money is because you needed it. You told me you were down and out. You've been laid off from your job. You were in a really bad place. You needed the money. And so you spent it. That's just the bottom line. I know that you say you've done so much for him, but, you should have let him know and communicated to him that you really needed it and what the situation was. But at the end of the day, this is a court of law. So I find that you owe Mr. Clipper $3,223. Verdict in this case for the plaintiff. Good luck to both of you.
Plaintiff Gail Weiler says that when she finally decided to move from her apartment after paying rent for almost 2 years, her landlord refused to do a proper walkthrough and failed to return the full amount of her security deposit. Defendant Gina Phillips says she deducted only the cost of the damaged items and provided an itemized list for the plaintiff to review. She says that she owes nothing more to the plaintiff and is countersuing for gardening expenses.
Gail Weiler?
Yes.
You are suing the defendant Gina Phillips?
Yes.
For $1,045 for the return of a security deposit?
Correct.
So you are countersuing, ma'am, for $1,105 for gardener's expenses?
Yes.
We'll start with you, Ms. Weiler. When did you move into the defendant's property?
The early part of November 2013. I think it was November 4th.
Okay, and is this a house or an apartment?
It is a house.
Okay, and how long have you owned the home, ma'am?
Since 1986.
Okay. And did the two of you sign a lease?
Yes, we did.
Do you have a copy of it?
Yes, I do.
How long was the duration of the lease?
Originally, it was for 2 years, Your Honor.
And so during that 2-year time period, did you have any problems collecting the rent from the plaintiff or anything like that?
Not at all.
Okay, so she was never late on her rent?
No.
Okay, great. Okay, and what about you? When you were living in the home, were there any issues?
Yes, there were. From the beginning, when I agreed to a 2-year lease, I was under the assumption that there were certain agreements that we were going to make, and one was that she would pay for the water, and in the beginning, we would take care of the yard.
When you say we, who do you mean?
It was my partner at the time was living there as well.
Okay.
And we trimmed all the hedges that were kind of overgrown, and we tried to do our best, and according to Gina, failed to meet her standards.
Right, and that's the basis for your counterclaim, right?
Correct.
Did you pay a security deposit when you moved in?
Yes, I did.
How much was that?
$1,700.
And when you moved out, how much of that security deposit did you get back?
I got back approximately $1,000, but that included a week of prorated rent. So I think the actual security deposit was around $700.
Okay, and so that's why you're suing for the remainder of your security deposit.
Yeah.
Now, you kept $1,045 of the security deposit.
Correct.
Was for
I did
prorated
some
rent.
itemized deductions, and
Okay.
I have a list of the deductions.
Okay, so I want you to tell me about the money that you deducted from her security deposit. You say there were damages and other issues with the gardening.
There was a lot of deferred deferred maintenance, Your Honor, around the property. It's one thing to be expected to, maintain a property, but I wasn't in a financial position to catch up some of her deferred maintenance, so to speak.
So you're suing for gardening expenses, but didn't at
Correct.
some point, because I see the lease, and the lease did state clearly that she was responsible for maintaining the yard.
Correct, and she did not honor that.
But then there's a point where you take over the responsibilities
because
for the
she
yard.
neglected the lawn. She wasn't going to do it.
Well, but ma'am, that was in May of 2013.
Correct.
And
yes.
you move out in
July 24th, 2014.
okay, so that's over a year.
Coming up on Judge Faith, is her landlord overcharging for wear and tear?
Unauthorized removal of bathroom blinds.
The reason those are left out on the porch is because she locked me out of the house before I could put them back up in the bathroom.
And I didn't charge her to be put them back up.
But I
That is so
offered.
nice of you.
I didn't.
Plaintiff Gail Weiler is suing her landlord for the full amount of her security deposit. Defendant Gina Phillips says she owes nothing more because of damages to the property.
There's a point where you take over the responsibilities
Because
for
she
the yard.
neglected the lawn. She wasn't going to do it.
So you're
Correct.
maintaining the yard for over a year. How are you suing for her not maintaining the
The
yard?
only reason I was only responsible for water only. In their lease, they were to maintain the yard on a monthly basis, and they neglected. Then I received a phone call where someone told me, Jeannie, you may want to drive by your house. It's not looking good. And that's when I drove by. I then took a few pictures of the property because grass was overgrown, hedges were overgrown.
But you do understand, ma'am, that tenants don't take care of yards like it's their own
But
property.
it's written in-
like you would. I mean, it's one
Exactly.
thing to cut the grass, but it's another thing if you want them to prune the hedges and plant
Right,
rose
but
bushes.
she wasn't even cutting the
because
grass.
they're not going to do that.
Correct, but she wasn't even cutting the grass.
Because here I have emails submitted to the court where in May of 2013 you take over the landscaping.
Correct.
So you can't then come in and sue for her not taking care of the yard.
Your Honor, if I may, I wouldn't have even had to sue her if she had been honorable about our agreement to leave the property early and to work together on presenting the property back to her in good standing. She never discussed the backyard being expecting me to resoil, reseed, and correct
You
the
let the grass
inoperable
die. You didn't water
things.
the
So let me
grass.
ask you
Let the
this,
grass die.
Miss Phillips, let me ask you this, because you provided a list of the damages you say, and now you know you've been a landlord for a number of years now, and you know that a tenant is only responsible for damages beyond normal wear and tear. You have a tenant who's lived in your home for 20 months. Okay, and then I have a list of things you say you deducted from her security deposit that are beyond normal wear and tear. So I want to look at some photos that the plaintiff submitted to court.
Okay.
Okay, this is the kitchen area. This is after she moved out. That's how the kitchen looked, correct?
I took that during the quick walkthrough, if you can call it that.
I mean, it's virtually spotless.
Yes.
Let's go to the next, because you charged her for professional cleaning, so that's why I'm asking. Okay, this is the living room area. Again, virtually spotless. Let's go to the next photo. Looks great. What room is this, ma'am?
This is the dining room, living room, and that is her plant that I took care of and watered for a year and a half.
I mean, the home looks beautiful.
She asked for it. You asked for it. You asked me to leave it. Let's be real, Gail.
Miss
You
Phillips,
asked me
Miss
to leave
Phillips.
it. You asked me to leave it.
Miss
and I
Phillips,
said,
does the
okay.
plant look good?
It's wonderful.
Okay,
She took good
let's go
care
to the
of
next
my
photo.
plant. Yes, she did.
Now let's look at your evidence that you submitted. Okay. You say she left behind debris. Ma'am, what is that?
I had a tree service. I had a tree that had some damage, and I had to hire some professionals to come, and they asked for the people to leave wood for fire.
So you're deducting that from the deposit. Okay, we're not going to do that. Let's go to the next one.
Okay.
Backyard where there was grass, now there's no grass. Now you've been maintaining this for a year, so how is that her fault?
She didn't water.
Let's go to the next photo. Unauthorized removal of bathroom blinds left outside. Is this the best we can do here in terms of damages?
Well, what happened, she did not get permission to remove the blinds.
Okay.
When we did the walkthrough, that's
And you're
when
keeping
I discovered
$1,000 of her security
I'm not
deposit?
keeping $1,000. I don't know why you keep saying $1,000. It's not $1,000 that's withheld.
It's $1,000.
You deducted
the
total for damages, as you have listed here, $1,055.09. Correct?
Okay, correct.
So the total that you subtracted that she said you illegally subtracted is
Okay.
$1,055.
Correct.
Okay?
Okay.
All right, what do you want to say?
Oh, well, could I address that picture?
Yes.
The reason those are left out on the porch is because during our so-called walkthrough, she took the keys and she locked me out of the house before I could put them back up in the bathroom.
And I didn't charge her to put them back up.
But I
That is so
offered.
nice of you.
I didn't charge her to put them back up.
Thank
You are so
She never
generous.
got my permission to remove them.
So here's what else you took off for. Do we have another photo? We have two more? Let me see them. Excessive, this is
Yeah,
you.
I'm not charging her for all of that. I'm just letting her know.
Excessive hair in the
Yeah,
drain.
that was just photos of how she left my house.
Now, Judge Faith rules.
My question to you is, after
Okay.
someone lives in a house for 20 months,
Correct.
do you not think there may be some mildew in the shower?
I expected her to be responsible and clean it.
But do you think that's beyond normal wear and tear?
No. But in the lease, it states that I am to receive my property back in the identical condition that the tenant received
Well,
it.
then we're all wasting a bunch of time here because it's
ma'am,
actually
stop,
clean.
stop.
That's it.
So I'm glad I heard what you think, Ms. Phillips, because I'm going to tell you what I think.
Okay.
I think you owe her $1,055.09, which is the rest of her security deposit, and I'm ordering you to pay that, ma'am. Judgment for the plaintiff.
But she ain't paid it.